Hey guys, you are listening to Insights with Kathleen,
Please join us while we share our insights and experiences
with the hope to inspire you to look inside of yourself.
for the answers you already have.
As with all information we receive,
Take what speaks to you
and leave the rest.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, we're in a whole new setting today.
I wasn't gonna tell them that.
You weren't?
No.
Oh, come on.
I would have been like, this is the
What?
same exact location. What do you mean? I know we're switching some
Sherry
stuff up.
sort of blends in with the background, though.
It's nice.
I hope you can see her. Can
I'm
you guys see her?
chocolatey. You can only see my glasses. I'm a floating head. I'm having a good time.
We're at school. Sherry's school.
This doesn't even look like a school though.
No, but hey, this is one of the perks of being at school, right?
This is my bedroom, guys. Isn't it huge?
Yeah, we're just getting ready for our live audience, and we just wanted to show you all the fabulous seats y'all could be sitting in right now. I'm just kidding.
She's not kidding. It's coming soon.
We're manifesting it today.
Yeah, we are putting it into the ethers. So, Kathleen,
So, Shetty.
I get to ask today, what the heck are we talking about today?
Hey, you know what? Thanks for asking.
It's nice
So-
to ask.
So, you know, Sherry, like a lot of the questions that you bring to me and we share on the air with everyone.
Right.
Do you know that there's more of a purpose behind them besides the messages that we put forward?
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
All right. Well, I kind of want to hear about it now.
All right. So you know how people talk to you about spirituality?
Yes, people ask me a lot about spirituality.
Yeah, I get those questions as well. Like
You're
I
like,
don't
just
know
so
about
you know,
Just so you
Sherry.
know. Sometimes I get those
She
questions.
gets them a lot, guys. Like a lot.
Well, you know, in order to really grow in spirituality or to even
Right.
understand spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
guess where we get to start?
Oh, you're gonna say with ourselves, aren't you?
Oh, yes. Gosh, it's like you're reading my mind or know me or something.
No, it's so true because I didn't even realize going into this, like all the self work that I had to do in order to like, not even just grasp the higher concepts, but to get into more of that.
Yes. And I know that it's not glamorous. I know
Right.
that a lot of people are like, oh, but I don't want to do that. I just want to be in spirituality because my life sucks right now and I need a way to escape.
That's a
right?
mood. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's a reality for some
Right.
people, and that's their reality.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is if we can't get in touch with ourselves and all of those components,
Right.
how are we going to be in touch with the all?
Oh.
So being in touch with our feelings is really the first step towards spirituality.
Yeah. Tell me why.
Well, that's because, all right, so for people who have grown up in Christian households and whatnot,
Right.
a lot of times you'll hear them talk about the Bible verse that God isn't in the wind, God isn't in the noise, he's in this quiet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I
He
hear that
talks
a
in the
lot.
quiet.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically what they're talking about is in order for you to hear spirit or to receive spirit, that we have to quiet our minds
Mm.
and our phones, because apparently I did not do that. So anyway, I was just quieting my phone.
And our minds. Good. No, exactly.
But you know, sometimes in order to quiet your mind, you need to quiet your phone. Because if you
She's
don't,
so sly. No, it's true though.
because if you don't, it pulls you out of the quiet.
Right, right.
But so it's spirit talks to us through our feelings. Yes. So in order to really receive the right message,
Mm-hmm.
we need to make sure that all of this is in the right place. Meaning, you were going to ask, I'm sorry.
No, please go on.
Meaning that we need to be healthy.
Right.
Because if, and we've said this before, we have three minds. We have the mind in our brain, the mind in our heart, and the mind in our gut,
Right.
right? And if any one of those are out of sync,
Mhm.
they change kind of the story. They distort the message.
Yes. No, that's definitely happened to me like so many times.
Yeah. And but that's also part of our experience. It's not to
Right.
be judged.
Right.
So don't judge any of it. It's part of
Don't
the growing.
judge.
Don't judge you.
Don't judge the process or you. If anything.
Yeah. So So if we have a distorted thinking in any one of our brain minds,
Right. Yeah.
or our mind minds, our three minds, see if I can say that better, it does throw us askew, and then we're kind of getting frustrated with that process.
Yes, I know for me, because I've talked with Kathleen like several times about just this particular thing, but the broad scope of it would be a lot of times I'll just think with my brain and I'll go forth, but I'm not thinking about the heart or like the intuition and stuff. And it definitely skews me in different directions.
Yes, because again, spirit is about feelings. So when
Yeah.
spirit is communicating with us, or spiritual beings, or energy,
Right.
it is all within the feelings. And how does that feel?
Right.
Because let's face it, spirit is energy.
Mm-hmm.
So energy doesn't have necessarily a physical form,
Right.
which means they don't really have a voice box. They don't really have lips and a tongue. They don't really have hands to even do sign language.
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah.
So how do they communicate?
Right.
And it's through impressions. It's through feeling.
Mm.
And vice versa, when we're communicating back to spirit,
Right.
they're receiving it through the feeling that we're putting out. And let's just equate that to the vibration. So you hear us talk about vibrations.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that is.
Oh, so you're saying like the vibration is more of just the feeling? Is it like the same thing or?
No, so your feeling
Mm-hmm.
is like a string on a guitar.
Mm.
So you have all these different strings in the guitars, and if you press them a certain way, they make these different notes
Right.
or chords, right?
Yeah.
So our emotions are kind of the same way in that regard. So like when you hit the strings on a guitar, it vibrates.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And then it vibrates in such a way it makes these different tones, these different sounds.
Right.
So our feelings will do the same.
Mm.
So when we're having a certain feeling, so we've said this before too, like when you're wanting something or in need of something,
right.
Oh my God, I don't have enough money in my bank account to cover all my bills. Oh my God, please, please, please send me more money. Please send me more money. I don't have enough money. All right, so that's
I should sing more when I'm having those feelings. That's so great. I don't have any money.
But the thing is I'm trying to ask for that abundance to flow my way.
Right.
So that my bank account will grow and overflow. So I have more than enough to cover the bills and everything else that I physically need in this lifetime. That prayer in that way or that tone,
Right.
really all that's doing is sending the message out, because that vibration,
Mm-hmm.
forget the words. What's the feeling behind it? Desperation. What's the feeling behind it?
Oh, so when you're trying to convey to the universe and you're just they're not really hearing the words. They're hearing like, oh, your desperation. This is what I'm hearing.
I'm feeling the vibration behind the words. So we may be saying all these great little words.
Right.
But it really has less to do with the words as much as it has to do with what's behind the words, with that energy packet behind the words, the feelings behind the words.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, hey, look, you know what, if you don't have any money and you need money in your bank account, I'm not saying pretend like, oh, okay, I have no money, this is fun. You can't fake this to make this, right?
This is great. I love not having any money. I feel like, now question, if I'm like saying it like that, I guess it doesn't even matter how I'm saying it, but the vibration is still there. Like,
so it's about how you're feeling about your situation.
right.
Words do matter.
Okay.
I don't want to say that words don't matter. Okay, just to point out this one concept.
Right.
We're just going to push those words aside for the moment.
Right.
We're talking about the energy, the feeling behind it.
Right.
So if we're feeling so desperate because we need to have this money like now,
right.
what's being picked up on the universe is like, oh, look, they like not having money. Let's not send them any money because they like it this way. Look at how much energy they're putting into that and liking it. They really like it. I know I'm being ridiculous, but this is just to prove the point of
Right.
the concept, right? But the words do matter because every word carries its own vibration. I don't.
Oh.
That's desperate.
Right.
Please send me more.
You know, it's funny because like Kathleen would do this with me a lot when we were first friends. And, you know, I would say like, oh, I don't have this or I'm not going to get that. And like a lot of the times she'd be like, well, change how you're wording it. And I'm like, what do you mean change it? I don't know what you mean. She's like, just change the wording of like, wow, look at how, I don't know what phrases you would say, but you would switch the phrases out. And I was like, oh, this doesn't do anything. But it did help shift my vibration and how I was either viewing my situation or myself. So it does make like a difference.
Yes. So we're using money as an example here.
Right.
So let's say you are in that situation where, you know, the flow of your finances is not, you know, your money, your income's not flowing in.
Right.
You have more flowing out than you do in.
Yeah.
And you would like to have more flow in.
Right.
Right. So the one way you do that is through gratitude. Gratitude changes the attitude.
Where'd you get that from?
I don't know. It just came out of my head.
Gratitude changes the attitude. Okay.
But it's so true.
We're going to have it on shirt. Anyway, go on.
She keeps promising all these shirts.
I know. I got to deliver them soon.
So be thankful for what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Be thankful that you have this amount.
Right.
Even though it doesn't really cover everything,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're being thankful and sincerely believing in that thanks and being totally very grateful for it,
Right.
then the universe receives a different message. Oh, look, they like money. Oh, let's send them more.
You know, I can actually speak on my own experience because I was trying to get housing and it's like a whole debacle. And I guess, you know, a lot of people were telling me like, you know, housing isn't as prevalent in this area, so you might as well just go for a different option, which I couldn't afford. And I just kept saying, no, I'm getting it. It's fine. It's happening. And like for several months, I heard like nothing. I even heard people saying you're probably not gonna. And then I was able to get it. And I guess for me, I could have just been like, oh, I'm not going to get this or blah, blah, blah. And I know a lot of people have different circumstances, so they weren't able to get the housing. But I guess for me, I just kind of like took a note from you of like, you know what, just putting out the universe, just sending that gratitude, like, you know what, it's going to happen. And I've had it with like different situations too, because I've noticed situations where I've been like, this is going to get worse, this isn't good, and it just kind of like would get worse. And I'm like, see, I knew it. But then there would be situations where I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I was able to get this abundance of like said thing, and then more would come my way. So
Right, because, you know, ultimately, and no matter what your situation is, your current situation, ultimately the universe loves us. That's
It
the bottom
does.
line.
It
The universe
does.
loves us and wants to deliver to us what we want.
Yeah.
Kathleen, what are you talking about? That's smack, man. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be stuck in this. I don't want to have all this crap coming my way. What are you talking about? I didn't ask for that. But maybe you did and you just didn't realize it. I'm sorry to tell you. That is the hard truth. I had to learn that the hard way myself because I've spent plenty a year, few decades of, you know, being in a place where I just wasn't happy.
Right.
But we are meant to be happy, and we truly are the creators and the manifestors of our own world. Right? So, like, your housing, it's scary.
Yeah, it is.
I want to acknowledge that.
Right.
A lot of
people were
yeah.
affected, so.
Right. And you know, different circumstances in different lives, I mean, sometimes they're scary.
Yeah.
It's scary to take that risk and that chance.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also about trusting. Trusting is hard for a lot of human beings. Did you know that?
I'll raise my hand to that. It's very hard.
She still doesn't really fully trust me all the way either, and I know that. But shh, don't tell her that I know, okay?
I can, and I can hear it too.
Oh, wait, she's got headset. Wait a minute. Shh, don't tell her.
But no, it's all good. I trust you now.
But the point being is, you're right. It is about the shift.
Right.
It's about the shift in what you feel, and it takes practice. It's
Oh,
not
it
something
does.
that happens overnight. But in order to be successful in this, and what we're talking about here today, is you need to be in touch with your feelings.
Right.
You need to be in touch with, oh my goodness, this is really making me anxious. Okay, I'm gonna breathe.
Right.
How can I shift my thinking so that I don't clog up the wheel of manifestation? So I don't clog up the wheel in creating something I really don't want.
Right. Right.
Right? So how do I do that? And a lot of times it is about taking a deep breath. It's about refocusing, and gratitude is really the easiest way to help you to shift
Right. Right.
from that fear-based, from that lack kind of a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And really what we're talking about, this is just a very beginning of spirituality.
Right.
I mean, yeah, and I feel compelled to say this, you know, a lot of times when we hear spirituality, and I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, you think about all those cool psychic things.
Yes.
The magic things.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. And I could attest to this because, you know, being in spirituality now, like a lot of it for me was like just doing the inner work for myself.
Mhm.
Because when I was doing more of the spirituality stuff, it helped that I wasn't getting my feelings or energies confused with other stuff. So it definitely like helped with that. And yeah, you're right. Because I think a lot of people see it and it's like, oh, this glamorous thing. And like, for me, I did not realize that like, oh, you have to do like some self work there to even just connect to the all that be like that.
You do. And I don't know if anyone out there, or even if you, have you ever seen the original Karate Kid movie?
Yeah.
And you know, and it might be a meme, I don't know, or the wax on, wax off
Oh
part.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So Mr. Miyagi is having
The Karate Kid.
yeah, the Karate Kid, I forget his name.
I've seen that movie.
They've been having him do all these chores. Like the kid approached him, hey, look, I want to learn how to do this.
No, honestly, that's how I felt with Kathleen because I was like, you know what? I have some of these abilities, whatever. And she's like, yes, but it's in like the shifting of energy or shifting the vibration of how you're like just a lot of like really fundamental stuff that I'm like, ugh, I don't need to do this.
This is boring.
I want to do channeling. I want to do cards. I want to do this. But it was like, it proved very useful. So that way, when I did go into that, it was just an easier transition for me.
And it's a cleaner line.
It is a cleaner line.
Right? And you're getting less distorted information. And the
Yes.
distortion is not on the part of spirit. Distortion is not on that part. The distortion is on the human part.
Right.
And, you know, so Mr. Miyagi talking about the wax on, wax off, making him do all these chores. And what he was doing is building up his muscle, building up his reflexes.
Right.
Building it innately so that it's like that muscle memory.
Right.
So taking a breath, breathing, being in the moment, being in touch with your feelings, these are all the basics for spirituality,
Right.
for really connecting, for even the alchemy. And remember last time we talked, I was trying to talk alchemy and I was like, what?
What is this?
So really, alchemy, it is about having a container, energy, and the focus, right? So it's those three components. So when you think about water, right? Water turning to steam,
Mm-hmm.
you put that in a container.
Oh, you mean
pot.
a literal container?
Yeah.
Oh,
A pot,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then you put the water in and you apply heat. That's the energy source.
Okay.
And then that whole transformation, the focus of it is then it turns into steam.
Container, energy,
Focus.
Huh.
Yes. So, and that's kind of what we're talking about here today
Right.
is, you know, for the very beginnings of this, I just want to say again, the universe loves us so much that it wants to show up in the way that we're asking it to. So I'm just saying it a little bit differently, but it's still the same thing that we've been talking here.
Yeah. No, that makes sense because I guess for me, like, you know, situations would happen and I'm like, oh, like God hates me or something, whatever. But like you would say that to me a lot. And once I just kind of said that mantra, I started believing it because it's true. And then it just helped shift my energy. And I just felt, I don't know what the word is. I can't think of it, but it definitely like shifted and made it feel lighter.
Right. And it's a subtle.
Yeah, it's subtle,
right?
Yeah.
It's not like a bam in your face. It's just this slight little tweak.
It
and
is.
sometimes it's a slight little
pivot,
tweak in our focus.
Right.
Oh, one of the three. We're the container.
Oh. You're so clever. I didn't even get that. I was like, focus. Ah. No, but that's true. Shifting the, yeah. Wow, that is really cool. I didn't really even think of it that way, but.
Yeah, and for those who are out there watching and listening, I do encourage you, find your mantra. Find that thing that helps you to raise your vibration. Raising your vibration is kind of like having that lighter feeling.
Right.
So for example, like generally when we're happy or we're kind of feeling a little go-lucky, that's a lighter feel opposed to, I'm Eeyore, I'm sad, my house fell down.
Poor Eeyore.
No, where am I going to sleep today? So that's heavier, it's denser. So find a way to shift out of that denser piece into the lighter. And sometimes it takes a little mantra. It takes a little phrase. I mean, so a few years ago, my kids were little and in grade school, and their father and I split and divorced, and it was stressful. I mean, I'm trying to work in a job and raise kids and keep up a house and keep an ex-husband in line and try to keep it a family and still be loving of them and be loving of me. Like that's just a lot going on.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say that's a lot of stuff.
So there were days when I just wanted to go. And in front of little kids, you don't want to be dropping like F-bombs or curse words or things like that, because then next thing you know, it's being mirrored back to you. Nobody wants that. So I knew I needed to somehow shift, because I don't want my children picking up on all of that stress that I was going through.
Right.
So I came up with my own little phrase, and it kind of made me laugh because it's stupid, silly, and it's sugar plum fairies.
Oh.
So instead of saying like curse words, I'll go sugar plum fairies, and for whatever reason, it kind of just made me feel a little lighter, And of course, it was funny. And then anybody else around me who hadn't heard me say it before, they'd hear me say it, they'd start laughing, which then in turn got me to laugh.
That's so funny. And she says it to this day. And like, I think the first time I heard it, I was like, what the heck is that?
Well, the best part was, so now I'm oversharing here, but my dad's health has been kind of a little bit on a roller coaster, which has required me to drive some miles to go see him and help him out and whatnot, and make phone calls for him.
Right.
So I'm back home, and he's calling me, and he's telling me he got this message from a doctor's office and he needs me to do something. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to cut to the chase. I'm going to call this doctor's office and get him in front of an actual heart doctor, opposed to dealing with a physician's assistant, which is kind of like the middleman, right?
Yeah.
And apparently anyway, it doesn't matter. It really wasn't what he wanted. But I'm on the phone with the office talking to the scheduler, and she wanted to know who I was.
Yeah.
And I had already given her my dad's birth date, so she already knows how old he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, I'm his mother.
And
then I realized that I had misspoken. Because, well, mind you, we were about to record a podcast, and my dad is calling, so it was a little stressful. And then I said to her on the phone, "Oh, sugar plum fairies, I'm his daughter," and she is dying laughing on the other end, which is exactly what I needed to help me refocus and come back and just breathe and realize, you know what, this is okay, this is okay. So I gave. The lady gave me a blessing because she laughed, and I gave her the blessing of laughter herself because she needed it.
Right.
And what a beautiful exchange. That's the universe showing up for you.
Aww.
All because once upon a time I wanted to shift my vibration, and I came up with this silly phrase to say when I'm frustrated.
That's funny. No, that's true. The universe does show up for you. And actually, when we were trying to record our last podcast, that was like a whole disaster. Very bad. But the short version was, I remember we're sitting at a diner and I'm like, this sucks. Like, this day sucks. And it's just like not good. And you're like, well, look at the universe showing up. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it was just.
She wanted to hit me, believe me.
It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And it was just kind of the sentiment you kind of just said of like helping me to learn certain skills that like I had not developed in trying to prepare this episode. So, at first I was like, this is ridiculous. She's full of crap. But then I sat with it and I was like, you know what? At least, now for the future when I am planning, like, even if it's something larger, like when we're doing something larger, I have the skills, I have the skill set, and like I'm learning it at this level as opposed to like something a little bigger. So I was able to sit there, and it was hard to shift that pivot. It really was, because I was just not happy with it, but I just felt my feels, and I was like, okay, you know what? I don't feel great after doing that. However, I am glad that I like attained some of these skills, and now when I'm doing it next time, I know.
But you know what?
What?
For as tired as I was, for as challenging of a time it may have been,
Yeah.
I got in over 10,000 some steps, so I got my exercise.
Mind you, she has a broken toe. But hey, I'm glad that you got your steps. She has stamina. Good for her. But yeah, it was long, but I am glad that I was able to glean something from it.
Right. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, of course.
By the way, and it is a real life example.
Yeah.
Right. That we're human beings. We're gonna have it's not glitz and glitter. It's not always
Not glitter? Dang it.
We're human beings. We're going to have that spectrum of experiences, because it's through that spectrum of experience that we become rounded.
Right.
And we appreciate the happier times. We appreciate those days where things are just smooth and we just kind of glide through. And we can have more gratitude for those days, because
Right.
without the contrast, you wouldn't be able to tell. Without the contrast, we'll be in heaven. I mean, like, why bother being here?
No, that I do love the human experience, and that we could just feel these just variety of emotions. Because I know for me, when I was like first going to therapy many, many years ago, all I knew was happy and sad. That's it. I'm either happy or I'm sad. I don't want to feel the rest of the emotions. But now as I gotten older and I went to therapy and all these things, I get to experience this large spectrum of emotions. Kind of like when you were saying the analogy with the guitar. And how important that is.
It's very important. There's a reason why we are all incarnated with feelings.
Yes.
There's a reason why, as human beings, we're wired with feelings. There's a reason for it. So why are we shutting them off? Why are we shortchanging ourselves by not feeling feels?
Ooh.
All right, well, thank you so much. We're going to leave you with that question to sit on for a little while. We thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Remember, you are bigger than anything that you are going through or anything that is happening around you.